So the Redskins pull it out 13-7. But overall, I was very impressed by the team. I'll be honest, I was very impressed by the entire team, not just the offense, not the offense or the defense. The entire team play looked like they were really working together very well this week against a very tough opponent. I mentioned a couple things. Like I said, I think the Cowboys came out in this game expecting to roll over us, and we kind of threw it up against them. I think the media is blowing them up to be a bigger team than they actually are. I don't think they're that good, and I don't think Tony Romo's that good of a quarterback. His record in December isn't very good. Up until last year, it certainly wasn't. And even in the playoffs, I don't think he's ever done anything that's really impressed me. I mean, I like the guy as a person. He seems like a pretty nice guy, but I just think he's getting blown up so much by this media. And I don't know why. I just don't think he's that good. I think he makes silly decisions. He doesn't know how to throw the ball very well. I mean, look at the play at the very end of the game this week. He threw the ball up into triple coverage. There were 3 Redskins there, and he's lucky that Carlos Rogers can't catch anything. He couldn't catch it cold in the middle of December. I want to go back to the Redskins, though, here for a minute. I love the aggressive play calling by both Haslett and by Shanahan. Haslett threw a lot of blitzes in the face of that offensive line, and to their credit, Romo didn't go down, but I think twice the entire game. But I like the blitzing. I like the schemes he was throwing at him. That 3-4, I've always been a big fan of the 3-4 defense, so I'm glad that we're finally starting to use that. And I think Arakpo is really going to step up from that linebacker position and really, really show people around the league what he can do as a linebacker and not just a defensive end. The line play, Trent Williams, first game, national television against I'm not saying the Cowboys aren't a tough opponent, like I said. But, Trent Williams steps up against one of the best linebackers in the league in DeMarcus Ware and shuts him down pretty much the entire game. I think Ware had 1 clean sack. The other one he had a little help on. Williams did have a penalty, but one of the things I liked was there was a screen pass to Chris Cooley, my personal favorite player, by the way. There's a screen pass to him, and he went down the field, right? And there was Williams just driving his man down the field, giving a nice lane for Cooley to run, get a first down on. Obviously, we talked about the big play by D'Angelo Hall at the end of the half. But also, I think we got to bring up a much maligned secondary member, and that was LaRon Landry. Now, I've always been a big LaRon Landry fan, but he has not been playing very well, up until last night. He had 17 tackles last night, and he had a chance for an interception pick 6 that would have pretty much sealed the game. Overall, though, I like how he played last night. He played aggressively. He made some big hits like we're used to him seeing, but he also played very good safety. I mean, he didn't let people get behind him. He didn't let, deep passes beat him. He didn't get juked out by receivers. It was a really good game by him. I already talked about Trent Williams, so we don't have to go over that. The offense. Now, I want to go over a couple things that weren't, the best things that we saw tonight. The offense, I thought, looked crisp. I mean, I thought when I say crisp, they looked fine. They were moving the ball down the field decently, but they just didn't look clean. They looked a little sloppy on certain plays, and once we got into the red zone again, having to settle for field goals is not a way you can win games in the NFL. When the year's starting out and the offense is a little behind the defense, yeah, you can get away with it. But, as the season progresses, we're going to have to convert some of those chances into touchdowns. And not like last year when we're faking punts and field goals and all that crazy gadget play stuff. You can't rely on gadget plays in the red zone. You have to be able to run a successful offense down there. I'm sure they know that, and I'm sure Shanahan's going to get that settled out. And then, like I said, the drops, they have to stop. I mean, Mike Sellers had a terrible game. I like Mike Sellers a lot. He had a terrible game this week, and he had drop-itis this week. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's a little off his game or whatever, but that was not a good game by Mike Sellers. And even Santana Moss had a couple drops. One thing I want to see more of is getting Cooley into this passing game down in the red zone. I don't know why, but I don't know why they don't just let him make a couple plays down in the red zone. He's a big 6'6" target, big body, gets in the, kind of runs that basketball screen down in the end zone. I'd like to see him get the ball a little more down there. One big problem last night was the punting. I think it was the biggest problem of the night last night was the punting. Josh Bidwell, guy was a great punter in Green Bay, and he was a great punter in Tampa Bay, but then he comes to Washington, and like every other punter, can't seem to kick the ball but 10 yards down the field. He had a 27-yard punt. He had another shanked punt when we really needed him to kick the ball well. He just didn't. That was really concerning for me. It's field position, and you have to get, you have to be able to kick the ball in those fourth down situations and try to pin your opponent back in bad field position. He had a couple line drive punts that could have been big returns. Overall, though, he just did not have a good game. He had one 51-yard punt that got a roll. That's why he got the 51 yards on it. He did have 2 punts inside the 20, but overall, I was just very disappointed with him. And if he doesn't get it straightened out, they're going to have to change his name to Bid Farewell because he won't be here for very long. And then I want to talk a little bit about Albert Haynesworth. Haynesworth, to me, needs to be gone. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but he needs to be gone. He really pouted pretty much all of last night. He kind of ticked me off, and he's been ticking me off all offseason. He's not being a team player. They showed a shot of him when he was on one side of the sidelines, and the rest of his defensive lineman teammates were back talking to the D-line coach about the assignments and what they have to do better to get into the backfield. He was standing over on the other side, and then when he was in the game, it looked like he was half-assing it. I'm not going to lie, he looked like he was half-assing it all game. If he doesn't get his attitude straightened out, I say kick him out. Either release him or trade him. I'm just getting tired of this act. I want to give out a couple grades here. Like I talked about the quarterback. Donovan McNabb. First game as a Redskin. First real game as a Redskin. For a bad ankle, moved around pretty well. I gave him a C overall because I thought he was a little hot to his receivers last night. He was throwing the ball a little too hard. I think he was trying to really impress the Redskins fans with his arm strength a little bit. I heard that from somebody. But, if you think about it, that kind of makes sense. That he might have been just trying to throw the ball a little too hard. And, he missed some open targets. But I think he'll get that straightened out. The running backs, I gave a B- to. They did a good job finding those running lanes late in the game. And it was nice to see because it kind of reminded you of the Hogs, I think, a little bit. But they could have been better. There weren't any fumbles, and there weren't a whole lot of lost yardage plays, That was really good for me because that ball security and no turnovers, that's going to be big moving forward. The receiving game, I gave him a C, not enough big plays and too many drops. But Cooley, had 80 yards receiving, and that was off of an injury last season, so that was nice to see. The protection I gave a B+ to. I would have given him an A-. They gave, some good running lanes, good job protecting Donovan. And they kept that defense on the field for a long time. So if it's a portent of things to come, they're probably just going to keep getting better. The pass rush, secondary, all the defense, I pretty much gave an A to. They just really played a great game tonight. I want to see a little more aggressiveness out of the secondary, make some more big plays. Try to make big plays, make some interceptions. Try to get a pick 6 here. But overall, they had the biggest play of the night, probably the biggest play of the week, and one of the stupidest plays of the week, probably of the last 5 years that we've ever seen from the Cowboys. The coaching I gave an A to because it was just a very good night. Shanahan called a very strong game. Aside from those 2 fades, I thought he called a very strong game. I thought he did a good job, working around all the stuff that was going on with Haynesworth and all that other stuff. But I thought he did a good job, and I was very impressed with how he did. Overall, I gave the team about a B- to a B. Winning was good, winning's always good, but there are some things that they need to work on, and hopefully by next week they get those things straightened out. Next week they've got the Texans. That's a tough matchup. I'm going to preview that matchup in just a couple of minutes. So, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, Redskin fans. This is TheaterMan527, Anthony Barata, signing out.